Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the Grow Your Life podcast. My name is Jeremiah Krakowski, and on this podcast, I help you grow your life, your business, make more money, impact more lives, and change the world. Now, today I want to talk about those of you that need help a little bit with your time optimization, your time management. I have a number of courses in our membership program where we go over this and how you can optimize this. And we just had a conversation today with our high-level coaching group about how to do this when you know that you need to do something in your business, but you're procrastinating, and how to manage all the different things that you have going on. And this is a principle that I have learned and applied and developed over the last couple of years that I think can really positively affect you to create the results that you're looking for in your business. It's not as much about what do you put in your day planner, how you map out your to-do list, or strategies of write this out 5 times, do this, etc. You're not going to get any of that from me. What you're going to get from me is more strategies that I've applied over the years to get more done with less time. Because I believe that time is a construct that we have control over, and we can either be imprisoned to time controlling us, or we can have control over time. So that's one of the first beliefs that we have to challenge, is that the time that we have is finite and that it is in control of us and that we're a victim to it, or that we have plenty of time to accomplish all the things that we want to accomplish in our life. And I want you to take on the latter perspective of that you do have plenty of time. You might be sitting here over the age of 60 years old feeling like you have no idea what you're talking about, Jeremiah. I understand that maybe your perspective is that. I challenge you that you can get a lot more accomplished in the next 5 years than you have the last 60. And I've worked with a lot of people that are over the age of 70 and even 80 years old that have accomplished more in 3 to 5 years than most people do in their lifetimes. And so I've seen that happen, and I know that, and I've worked with thousands of people to give me this perspective. What we have to do is we have to stop operating, number one, out of a scarcity mindset. I have lack, I don't have enough, I can't accomplish what I need to with what I have. Realize that that's just not simply true at all. That we do have enough with the time that we're given, and that when we go into an abundance mindset of believing that we have enough, some amazing things start to happen. Now, some actual practical strategies of this are: take a look at in your life, what are areas where you have obligations. This is one of the first areas that I tell people to look at. What are obligations that you're required to do every single day? And realize that those are actually choices. That's the first shift. Is realizing that the things that you believe that you are obligated to do every single day are actually just choices. That's it. And this is a paradigm shift for some people. I've been cussed out for saying this to some people as well. I understand. Again, we all got different situations. We all have choices to make every single day. And when we let our obligations define what we have the capability of doing in our lives, we now become a victim to outside circumstances, okay? So I want you to shift, again, out of the victim scarcity mindset. And I want to raise you up to the higher level of being able to accomplish anything that you go out there and doing. When it comes to your time, you can create time. Time is not as finite as we see it. We're able to mold it, bend it to our will, make it submit to us. And that's one of the biggest things that most people don't realize, because they've never been taught how to do so. They've just been taught that we all have the same 24 hours in a day, and most of us fill our day up with things that we have to do. And we're also not taking care of ourselves. That's another aspect. If you find maybe you lack time, are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating right? Are you eating in a way that spikes your glucose or blood sugar? And now causes you to have less energy? Are you not taking care of yourself? That's one of the first things that we want to explore. Is if you have a lack of energy and you're not getting enough sleep, and by the way, I have a 7-month-old baby. I know what it's like to not get enough sleep. But I also know that when I prioritize it in the days that I need to, it helps me operate at a higher level in a more optimized way. And so we have to break past all these excuses. See, listen, if you're listening to this right now, you're 5 minutes in, and you're just making excuses, I want to shift you out of that, first off. Excuseaholism is not productive behavior. Coming up with reasons why your situation, this doesn't apply to you. Okay, so let's address that first off. And then let's start to look at, no matter what situation we live in life, no matter what we're going through, realizing that we get to define our day, our life, and our future. And it's not defined by outside circumstances. If you're living your life right now where your life is defined by everything outside of you, it's because you've actually put things in order and placed things in that way. And you've chosen to give up the authority and the autonomy and the agency of your life to everything else around you. So that's one of the first steps, is to take back that agency, to take back that authority, to where you're no longer just a victim of what everybody else tells you that you should be doing. And this is one of the first things to look at. There may be things in your life right now that you do, maybe even in your business, because I talk to mentors and coaches and trainers. There's activities in your business that you're, according to everybody else's best practices, that they say that you should be doing. And if you only eliminated those things, you would create openings in your time to be able to accomplish and to do more things. So just simply realizing that by saying no to certain obligations, as painful as it may be, and being willing to open up time by choosing to stop doing things, even if you feel you should be doing them. See, this is why most people are not able to be successful. They're unwilling to make the sacrifices that they need to make when it comes to their day, their life, their week, their finances, their relationships, their time, whatever that is. And listen, don't misinterpret me in the most negative light, to where maybe you assume that I'm saying to neglect your family and to just don't even fabricate that false narrative. Okay? Because I never said any of that at all. But that's where our brains go to. That's where we go to the extreme version to demonize, especially if it violates everything that we've been taught to do. Is oftentimes our brain will go into the most extreme version in order to discredit what somebody's saying that we know. I guarantee you right now, as you're listening to this, you know that if you stop doing certain things every single day, you restructured certain things in your life, that you would create the time to accomplish all the things that you want to do. So don't let your own brain talk you out of that. Don't let your own thinking talk you out of the truth of knowing that you are in control of what you do every single day. You're not a victim. And that you can choose to move things around. And boundaries on our time, being willing to say no to things that might be good, that might even be what we should be doing, that might even have been obligations. By the way, what do you do when you change an obligation, when you move an obligation around? You find somebody else to delegate it to. If you have an obligation, you find somebody else to pass it off to. So this is one of the first areas that we need to grow in. is to learn to delegate things to people and to not feel guilty passing off activities to other people. That's one of the first things. Realizing that you don't have to be the savior of the world that does everything for everybody, and that you don't have to be the one person who shows up that the buck stops at. When we shift our mindset, when we shift our activities out of perfectionism, out of needing to be the one that controls everything, needing to manage other people's emotions and feelings, and we learn to delegate and we learn to say no to things that might be good, and we even learn to say, you know what, even if I quote unquote should be doing that, I'm going to choose not to with intention, because I'm prioritizing what I want that I haven't made space for in my life. And when you actually make space for the things that you want to do and that you want to accomplish, that's where the beauty and the magic happens. One of the biggest reasons why people don't accomplish what they want is they just don't want it bad enough. They just don't have a desire to actually go after the things that they really want. You might be saying, Jeremiah, you don't know what you're talking about. I want it more than air or water itself. Your actions don't show so. Otherwise, you would move some things around, and I understand that may be really offensive to you. You might want to challenge why this is so offensive. Why it's so difficult to hear the truth like this. And realize that for you to be able to create the kind of wealth that you want to create for your family, which we gotta shift out of operating in the way that we always have, that we've always done. One of the worst things that we can do in life, one of the worst phrases is, well, that's how it's always been. It's how we've always done things. It's sad when I hear people say that, because they've automatically shut their brain down to innovation, to ideas. But when you can start to look at it and you have a vision for, okay, this is the direction that I'm going in my life, and you start to visualize the best case scenario, and you start to visualize the life that you want. This is what I've done in my life. This is what has created in our life. We've made over $1 million in 1 year. And prior to that, I was an employee working for other people, struggling in my own personal income, struggling with debt, struggling in my relationships, and it all hinged on what I'm talking about today with you. Learning that I don't have to be a victim to procrastination. I don't have to be a victim to my feelings. I don't have to be a victim to my emotions. I don't have to justify what I do to anybody. And when you realize that, and we step out of this behavior that we feel like we have to, quote unquote, operate in a realm of what we should do, of what we've always done, and we learn to choose, let's just pick one of those items. Maybe you don't do it, all of it, a big clean sweep of your life, activities and habits all in one day, but maybe just 1%. What if you take 1% of your activities and you shift the priorities around? And then you start making it a priority to accomplish your business. Maybe you start making yourself a priority. Maybe you start making your self-care a priority. Some people say, I don't have time for self-care. I'll tell you, self-care is one of the number one profit-producing activities that you can possibly do. When we can take care of ourselves instead of just pouring out for others. You know, there are people that actually believe that to take care of yourself is evil. And that to not give 100% and 110% of yourself for other people is evil. And I feel sad for whoever psychologically manipulated and lied to those people to believe that. I used to be one of them. That believed that my needs didn't matter. My desires didn't matter. My priorities didn't matter. That I didn't matter. And then I was working and struggling with an uphill battle, trying to accomplish all the dreams and goals and visions that I had in my life. And all it took was a shift and a focus to change what's a priority in my life. And to start to do the things that would move the needle forward for me, even if it meant stopping doing things that I was obligated to do and passing them off to somebody else. Stopping doing the things that I quote unquote should do that were taking more of my time than created a necessary outcome for me. And by choosing to do these hard things and make those sacrifices and making it a priority in my business to create the kind of business that I want, to create the kind of life that I want, to create the kind of marriage, kind of family life, the kind of home that I want. We just closed on a home today. That's what shifted everything for me. And that's what's going to shift it for you. It's a choice. We're not a victim. Maybe you're still listening to this right now and you're saying, Jeremiah, you don't know my situation. You got no empathy for what I go through. Just pause that defensiveness for a moment. I did a podcast episode about how defensiveness is one of the greatest hindrances to business success. That need to defend ourselves, to justify ourselves, to try to prove others wrong, to try to prove that we're right, instead of learning to grow, instead of being willing to say how I've been doing things up to this moment in time hasn't been working. Let me try something different. Let me learn from somebody who has been where I've been, get mentored, and walk down a path. I've been where you've been, and I've walked down the path, and I've come out the other side. And I'm here to tell you, it doesn't have to be this way. It's all a choice. One of the greatest things that helped me in this is when I started working with a therapist, and I started realizing that I had beliefs in my head, beliefs in my brain that were stopping me based off of trauma and traumatic experiences, that I was operating from a programming. My brain was literally wired and programmed against being successful in business. And I sought out to create the kind of neural pathways that I needed to create to be successful. I see my mother do it firsthand. I wondered why I struggled with it. And I set out on my own journey to not just, just because I'm Sandy Krakowski's son doesn't make me entitled to any level of success. But truly realizing that the life that I'm living today was a result of the choices that I've made. The skills that I've gained, my ability to communicate, my ability to have tough conversations, my ability to do the hard things, my ability to make the sacrifices that I've needed to make. And on the other side of that is a life that I can truly say today is everything that I dreamed of 5 years ago. And now I'm in a new season where I'm passing that on to other people. What have I learned in the last 5 years? In the last 5 years, I started this business, struggled to make the kind of revenue I wanted to make. We made 6 figures. Some of y'all are like, I just wish I could make 6 figures. Great. I promise you can make 6 figures doing what I share with you. What I'm sharing with you is what has taken me to even 7 figures. And it's working on what's up here. And I'll tell you, even at the 6-figure level, if you get started and you work on this stuff initially, man, I wish I knew this stuff 5 years ago. I wish I knew what I just told you 5 years ago. I probably would have fought it. I probably would have been angry at it. I probably would have not been happy. I probably would have judged myself. In fact, I had people trying to tell me this stuff 5 years ago, and I was so mad. They don't know what I've been through. They don't know what situation I've gone through. So I get it. I do. I really do. I get where most of you have been through. Those that are in our coaching program know that. They know a lot of this stuff that y'all are walking through, I've walked through as well. And I've walked through it both in my own life and with other people. I've set out to prove these methods, to prove what works, and to bring you strategies that I know will produce results in your life. And if you start to apply this, if you start to realize that you have control over your time, you have control to create moments in time for you to accomplish things in your life, that you are not a victim to everything outside of you. And you can start to move puzzle pieces around, and you can start to prioritize things. And then you can start to do those priorities. That's where your dreams will start to happen. And so I'm excited. Listen, I hope this has challenged you. Maybe it's triggered you. Maybe you're going to realize that it might be time to go talk with a therapist. It might be time to work through some of those issues that are limiting you in your behavior, and that you're operating in the same framework which you've always done for the last 5 to 10 years. And start to move the needle forward for yourself so that you can make the kind of money that you want to make. The only reason why anybody listens to my podcast is because they want to increase their income. That's it. You can make the hard choices. You can accomplish the things that you want to. I believe in you. I know you can. And listen, if this episode has impacted you, pass it on to somebody else. Share it with somebody. I think it'll really impact them as well. Grow your life, everybody. We'll talk soon. Have a good one.